Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. Today I am going to start a new series of videos on ancient India. In this video I am going to discuss about the evolution of life on earth, about the different eras, period and especially about the Stone Age. So what are we waiting for? Let's start our video with an introduction of evolution on earth. Earth came into existence around 4.5 billion years ago. Around 3.5 billion ago, life evolved on it. It is assumed that by bioorganic interaction only evolution started. Apes were considered as the ancestors of human. Homo sapiens were our ancestors. And about 70,000 years ago, it is assumed that it started. Now we have to understand about the geological time scale. It is divided into eras, and eras are divided into periods. Now there are 5 eras: Azoic, Archeozoic, Palaeozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic, etc. I'm going to discuss about them one by one. First is the Azoic, where there were no life. Second one is Archeozoic, assume that life evolved here. Third is the Palaeozoic. It is also known as the age of fishes. And now time is divided into period, and there are total 6 periods. First is the Cambrian. It is the first geological period of Paleozoic area. It lasted 53.4 million years ago. It was a time of greenhouse climate conditions with high level of atmospheric carbon dioxide and the low levels of oxygen in the atmosphere and the seas. It marked a profound change in life on Earth. Now, multicellular organisms became common. Next is the Ordovician. Here the invertebrates, namely mollusks and arthropods, dominated the ocean, and the arthropods started establishing on the land. Devonian was the first land plant, and fish started evolving. Ordovician meteor event also took place at the end of this period, and because of ring system that was formed around the earth at the time. Next is the Silurian. Here the emergence of vascular plants from more primitive land plants. Dicarian fungi started expanding and diversifying along with 3 groups of arthropods. The another significant evolutionary milestone was the diversification of jawed fish and declination of jawless fishes. Next we have to understand about the next period, and that is the Devonian period. Here the evolution of free-sporing land plants started. Pteridophytes began to spread across dry land, forming extensive coal forests which covered the continents, and several groups of vascular plants had evolved, leaves and the true roots. And by the end of this period, first seed-bearing pteridospermatophytes appeared. The primitive sark became more numerous by the end of this period. Next we have the Carboniferous. Many coal beds formed during this time. This was the first period during which both terrestrial and animals and land plant life was well established. This was the age of amphibians. Land vertebrate dominance started and the insects underwent major evolution. Now the sea level was very low and the mountain buildings started as continents collided to form Pangea. Carboniferous rainforests collapsed due to climate change, and due to which the oxygen level decreased by the end of this period. Next and the last is the Permian. It is marked with the largest mass extinction in the Earth history, in which nearly 81% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial species died out, associated with eruption of Siberian traps, and it took well into the Triassic period for life to recover from this catastrophe. On land ecosystem took 30 million years to recover. Next, we are having the Mesozoic. This was the era of reptile. We are having three periods in this. First is the Triassic, next is Jurassic, and the third one is Cretaceous. First is the Triassic. About 252 million to 201 million years was the period for this time period of this period. It was featured with the breakup of Pangaea and opening of Thetis Ocean. Algae, sponge, corals had recovered. A new aquatic reptiles evolved. On the land pine, forest flourished, as did the groups of insects like mosquitoes and fruit flies. Reptiles become larger in size. Crocodile, little dinosaur, and the snakes evolved. So we can say this was a period for snakes and lizard. Next is the Jurassic. As the name mentioned, it is a period of dinosaur. The climate was tropical and much more humid. On the land, dinosaurs became dominant. Now the small mammals appeared with teeth, forelimbs, and back. Conifer forest made up large portion of forest, peak time for the reptiles. Next and the last is the Cretaceous. It was a period when the dinosaur extinct, because the poles became colder. The Karakoram mountains range developed. We can understand that the Karakoram is older than Himalayan range. Mammals continued to expand their range. For flowering plants became more dominant, birds became common, and by the end of this period, Deccan traps and other volcanic eruptions were poisoning the atmosphere. It is thought that a large meteor smashed the earth, due to which near about 75% of life extinct, as with the dinosaurs. Now I am proceeding with the next, and that is the Cenozoic era. This is the era of mammals, and there it is divided into 7 periods. First is the Palaeocene. Modern placental mammals originated during this time. Earth was recovering. Continents began to take their modern shape, and environment was getting warmer, which leads to rise of forests till the poles. Ocean was dominated with shark, large reptiles extinct, and the archaic mammals filled the land. Next we have the Eocene. Here the temperature was 30 degrees Celsius with little temperature gradient from pole to pole. Jungle got stripped, due to which mammals grew to mammoth proportions. Whales became fully aquatic, and the late Eocene saw rebirth of seasons, which caused expansion of savanna-like areas along with evolution of grasses. Next period is Oligocene. There was expansion of grasslands which led to many new species to evolve, including the first elephants, cats, dogs, and many other species still prevalent today. Many other species of plants evolved in this period too. Mammals still continued to grow larger and larger in size. Next is Miocene period. It is a period in which grasses spread further, dominating a large portion of the world at the expense of forests. It encourages the evolution of new species such as sea otters. Apes evolved into 30 more species. The Tethys Sea finally closed with the creation of Arabian Peninsula, leaving only remnants of Black, Red, Mediterranean Sea and Caspian Sea. This increased the aridity and many new plants evolved. About 95% of modern seed plants families were present by the end of this period, and that is the Miocene period. Next is the Pliocene. It is featured dramatic climate changes, which ultimately led to modern species of flora and fauna. The Mediterranean Sea dried up for several million years. Australopithecus evolved in Africa. That was the beginning of the human branch. Climate was changing and it brought savannas, Indian monsoon, desert in Central Asia, and the beginning of Sahara Desert. Next is the Pleistocene, and that was a period of the glaciation marked by many ice caps as far as 40 degrees north in the mountainous areas. Africa experienced a trend of desiccation which resulted in creation of Sahara, Namib and Kalahari deserts. Many animals evolved including mammoths, giant ground sloths, dire wolves and the Homo sapiens. Yes, the Homo sapiens started evolving in this period only. In the end of this period, there was a drought which affected the whole world. But it is considered that Africa was the worst that was affected least, due to which the Homo sapiens still survived. Next and the last is the Holocene. Holocene began 11,700 years ago and lasts to the present day. All recorded history and the human histories lies within this boundary. Human activity is blamed for a mass extinction that began roughly 10,000 years ago. Now the species becoming extinct have only been recorded since the Industrial Revolution. This is sometimes referred as the sixth extinction. It is often cited that over 322 recorded species have become extinct due to human activity since the Industrial Revolution. But the rate may be high as 500 vertebrate species alone, the majority of which have occurred after 1900. Now the technology is changing much faster without giving chance for cultural adaptation, and this is also known as the cultural lag. Humans started using sandstone to make tools, and this is known as the beginning of the Stone Age. Stone Age is again divided into three phases. First is the Paleolithic, second is the Mesolithic, and the last is the Neolithic. The Paleolithic is from 1.5 lakh BC to 10,000 BC, whereas Mesolithic is from 10,000 BC to 6,000 BC, and Neolithic is from 6,000 BC to 2,600 BC. Now I am going to divide Paleolithic. The Paleolithic is again divided into three phases. First is the lower, second is the middle, and the third is the upper. The lower Paleolithic period was very simple, and we are having a very simple economic system. The human were doing only two things, and that was the hunting and the food gathering. Fruits and nuts and raw meat were consumed. Now the social life was very nomadic. This is also known as transhuman migration. We can say that it was the tribal life. Next is the middle Paleolithic. Here discovery of fire start and the lifestyle changed because of that. Now the humans started consuming the cooked meat. Now they were secure from the wild animals and were having light even at the night time. Next is the upper Paleolithic period. Now the human is changing. They have started living in the caves. Their brain was also very developed. They loved cleanliness. They searched caves. They used to clean them, paint them with the natural color. The natural colors were from the plants and the minerals. They used to squeeze the colors from the plant, then dry them and use them on and paint the caves. The surface was also dry. They were oxidized, so it was long time, or we can say the long lasting. So we can say one more thing, and that is it is the first exhibition of human art known as mural painting, dry color on the dry surface. Next, the example for this is Bhimbetka, Lakhudiyar in Uttarakhand, Muraina Pahar in Uttar Pradesh, and Kamur range. Now we have to understand about the tools used, mainly of three types: hand axe, chopper chopping, and cleaver. And the raw material was a sandstone. In European Paleolithic, wherever we found the tools, we have definite evidence of the presence of human. But in India, Paleolithic science, we don't have evidence of existence of human. Just because we have found the tools, we called any site as Paleolithic site. And according to archaeologists, Indian soil is an acidic soil. Therefore, bones did not survive, or we can say human remains did not survive. Around 5 lakh BC ago, a fossil was found in India, in Narmada Valley, which is clavicle of ape man. Therefore, Narmada man is our ancestor. There are many Paleolithic sites in India. First is the Sohan Valley, which is now in Pakistan, Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh, Adamgarh is also in Madhya Pradesh, Karnool in Andhra Pradesh, Kaimur in Jharkhand, and Lakhudiyar in Uttarakhand. These are the sites where we can find the Paleolithic tools. Next, the beginning of Paleolithic tools in India started way back in 1860s during the British period. The Cambridge expedition led by Robert Brushwood in the year 1863 discovered the hand axe in Pallavaram, Tamil Nadu. Thereafter, the interest in Paleolithic tools had developed. Next is the Mesolithic period. The Mesolithic period is transition in between the Paleolithic to Neolithic. Here, humans started using the tools known as the microlith. The tool size was between 1 to 8 centimeter. It was baked, blade painted arrowhead, triangle, and harpoons. There are many Mesolithic sites in India like Bhimbetka, Muraina Pahar, Adamgarh, and some sites found in Belen Valley like Koldihawa, Chaupani Mando, and Sarai Nahar Rai. In Rajasthan, there is a site called Bagod. In Koldihawa, we have found the oldest evidence of grain in the world, where we have found the rice husk. It is a wild variety of rice grain. In Chaupani Mando, we have the oldest evidence of pottery in the world. From Sarai Nahar Rai, we found the oldest evidence of tribal warfare. Next is the Neolithic age. It is also known as the Neolithic Revolution. It is a transition from transhuman migration to settled habitation. Early stage of cultural foundation. This stage is characterized by stone tools, shaped by polishing or grinding, dependence on domesticated plants and animals, and settlement in the permanent villages, and the appearance of such crafts as pottery and weaving. In this stage, humans were no longer dependent on hunting, fishing, and the gathering of wild plants. Before the Neolithic era began, human beings were hunter gathering nomads who migrated to greener pastures as soon as their presence began to cause the decline in animals and the plant resources for food. The onset of Neolithic period was marked by the initial developments in agriculture. Once they learned how to plant food, humans stopped migrating and began establishing some small settlements. Domestication of animals meant that human beings did not have to hunt for meat. The Neolithic era transformed the gathering and hunting community into sedentary society based in the towns and villages. People started taming wild animals for hides, milk, and meat. The humans used the animals' coat for building their tent, shelters, storage, and clothing. Taming animals was hard work, so they focused first on the herbivorous animals since they were easy to feed. Domestication made it possible for people to plant their food and also rear livestock, therefore, making it possible for human beings to build permanent homes since they did not need to move around. Their houses had doors also now. People live in small tribes, and some of the earliest settlements include Lahuradeva and Mehergarh, which are situated in Indus River Valley. With this, we have came to understand. We have understood some eras and periods. Evolution of man as hunters to farmers, living in tribes and having family. I'm concluding my video here, and if you find the content interesting, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.